with the Cure CMD community. I wasn't able to sit in all of the different subtype meetings, but I know in College in 6, when we were talking about questions that were coming up to the physicians and everything, it was nonstop. What can we do to help? What obstacles can we help, break down? How can we advance and accelerate research, et cetera? So we're going to talk a little bit about what Cure CMD does, what we've been working on, where we've been, give you a chance to meet some of our staff and board members, et cetera. So we'll walk through this here in our, just a couple minutes in a presentation, and really want to open up a lot of conversation with you. Make sure we understand what the community needs, what can we do better, how can you get involved, et cetera. We have an incredible staff, both combination of people that are actually on payroll versus volunteers, spending, from a few hours here and there to full-time, a great group of people. I just want to go through this really quick, and if you're in the audience, please stand, let everybody know who you are. Everybody knows Rachel, to begin with. So Rachel is not only obviously our executive director, she's also the secretary on the board of directors, and just invaluable asset. I think she was our first employee with Cure CMD, and can't say enough about Rachel. Just be quiet. Gus is our scientific director. I'm going to have Gus talk a little bit because he helps run our grant cycles and everything. Give the explanation of how that all goes through. Our newest employee, Andy, joined us. He's our director of individual and corporate giving. We're really starting to try and target more of the philanthropy and corporate donations, and you'll see that in a little bit. Donica, I don't know if she's in the room.
She's probably in the...
Probably manning the making everything happen behind the scenes. She's been at the registration desk the entire time. Terry, I doubt she's online. It's California time. Terry is an amazing grant writer. She helps us secure an awful lot of grants coming into our organization. We won the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative Institute? Yeah.
Initiative.
Initiative grant, which really helped provide a lot of funding for us for the last 3 years. Kelly Berger, is Kelly in there? Kelly might not be here right now. Does a lot of our digital media. She's been around. She's helping run the youth young adult activities. Charlene York, I know, is not here. She's a volunteer curator, helps work with our publication library.
She's about to become a grandmother.
Pardon me?
She's about to become a grandmother.
Oh, excellent. How did I not know that? Lainey Knutson? Lainey's been a volunteer with us for a while, working on advocacy. So if you get advocacy emails coming out and notifications, she's been a great part of that one. Avery, I saw Avery in here, right? In the back. Avery, thank you very much for all you and Kelly have done with the young adult sessions. I've heard that's an awful lot of fun, and I know you guys put a lot of time into that. Luke, I don't know if Luke's in the...
Yep, right in the middle.
In the middle? Sorry, Luke. Luke has done an awful lot with us. If you've used the... If you've read the blogs and the different things that we have posted on our website, Luke is our editor-in-chief. We want more blog writers, so if anybody wants to contribute, we'll find a way to help you out there. Liam, is Liam? Yep, Liam's in the back. Liam, thank you very much for being here as well. Liam has done built our app. And plug right now, if you have not downloaded the app, it's Cure CMD app. Please do so. It is a fantastic resource. It has all kinds of information about all the subtypes, pulmonology guide that we've talked about in our conversations. It's a handy pocket resource. Give it to your doctors, say download this app and have it, right? So they have that as a resource as well. It's a wonderful tool. And it links to the website and gives you a lot of information there as well. Susan and Diane, I'm going to bundle you together because you've done so much work with the $1 Million Bike Ride. It's one of our great fundraising tools that they put together with UPenn. And how many years now? 9. Wow.
She and Ray and Melissa, who's online, I call my OG moms because they've been around since before Cure CMD, and they are the heart of Cure CMD.
Yeah. And then Maddie wasn't able to join us this year, but she's one of our podcast members. If you can go on, you can find Cure CMD podcast. It's 2 Rare Mama Bears. Maddie and Megan, one of our board members, had this whole series. I can't remember how many episodes that they...
Almost 60, I think.
60. It's talking about what's it like to be a mom or dad in this environment, and support that they get for their kids, and it's a really, really good podcast. I listen to it going to and from work, and it's a timeless resource. So feel free to download those and listen to them. So thank you all. Obviously, thank you to all the staff and volunteers that have been helping us along the way. Board members, we have some here in the audience. Others couldn't make it. I'm Rob, by the way. I should have introduced myself if you didn't know already. Recently, the president of the board. With us here in the audience, I'm just kind of getting, let's see, we'll go by the pictures. Eunice Kim. Eunice is probably one of the other OG.
Board member number 4.
Pat May couldn't join us today. He's also our treasurer. He's board member number 1? 1, yep. Mark Bear. Mark's on our executive committee with us and finance committee. Great resource. Dr. Meyer, I think a lot of people know Dr. Meyer from CHOP. He wasn't able to join us for this weekend. Outstanding member. John Day. Dr. Day is with Stanford. Also a great board member. Helps provide a lot of information with grants and the science behind everything we're funding. Dr. Grossman wasn't able to join us as well.
She's been online.
Oh, she is?
Yep.
Excellent. Carla, thank you very much for joining us. We're really happy to have you, miss you here in town. Tim Knutson. Tim has joined the board when I did about 3 years ago. And Tim's working a lot with our development committee and development advisor, as we talked about with Andy coming on board and getting a lot of gifts. We'll get into that in a second. Megan Meyer wasn't able to join. Her daughter Lily just went through scoliosis surgery this past week, so wasn't going to interrupt that at all. Megan's the other Two Rare Mama Bear podcast member. And then, let's see, Mindy Roberts has been our newest board member, right? Mindy's great. She's got an HR background, helps keep us all out of trouble with an awful lot of things. Jeff Rowbottom. Jeff's been, you've been on board for like 5 or 6 years?
2015.
2015, okay, so 7 years. I lose track of time. Like years just zoom together anymore. Jeff's a great member, great financial background, and really kind of helps us with figuring out budgets and finance, et cetera, along the way. And Dr. Jody Wolf, I think you all got to see Jody here. She had to fly out last night. Great representative from the biotech industry to be on the board with us. So, thank you all board members for going through this. So as a board, what our job is to make sure that Cure CMD is following its mission. The mission I put up here just to kind of give everybody a view of what is it we really want to do, right? We're here to advance research towards treatments for those with congenital muscular dystrophies and improve the lives of those living with CMD through engagement and supporting the community. So I was to break that down into 2 things. That's funding the research, right? Whether it's cures, treatments, pulmonary, everything else that goes along with this, right? Getting those grants out there, so funding grants, and then all of the community support activities that you see. This being one of them, right? Our conference is a really big thing. It's a great opportunity for people to gather together, but there's online communities. We have Facebook groups. We have the blogs that we talked about, all the different interactions that we put out there for the families. So we're really trying to drive those activities and the programming, the videos, the online content, the stuff that you can walk away when you're not here in person to be able to use as a community member. Talk a little bit about where we have been historically, and I can't remember, when did we fund our first grant?
2009.
2009, so long time, right? 13 years ago. Since then, we funded over $3 million in research grants. We launched two clinical trials. We grew the Congenital Muscle Disease International Registry. When you hear us talk about the registry, that's another big thing. If you're a community member and you're not registered, please sign up. Please get your name on there. That's the way we can make sure that we're in contact with each other. But more importantly, it's in the registry, you become a data point that is very important for all of the researchers to be able to leverage and understand number of community members and different types and genetics and everything else that goes along with that. It's a very, very vital tool. It's probably one of our biggest assets within the organization. Obviously hosting the science and family conferences. We hope to keep doing these every 2 years. We obviously had to do a 3-year gap with COVID. And then more than 300 hours of video content. You can find all that on YouTube and on our websites, et cetera. Again, if you have a question, you can probably find some webinar or video that we have talked about this in the past, and even previous conferences. So with that, let's talk about where we're going. We want to accelerate our funding. We want to get up to about $500,000 every year in funding grants. I think we're doing that this year, right? We're getting approximately, we're putting our grant
We've
goal.
committed 400,000
400,000?
with the option to go a little higher.
With the option to go higher. So we have a grant. We have a grant call open now and looking for researchers to put in applications. I'm going to ask Gus to talk about that really quick, and I know you got to leave in a minute. We also, to do that, we need funding, right? So we're looking more for, big, large philanthropic, I can never pronounce that. I shouldn't have typed it.
Philanthropic.
I know, philanthropic donations, gifts, and then securing long-term corporate sponsorships. So it's one of the reasons we brought Andy on board to really help us deepen that, fundraising pool. We obviously have a lot of individual fundraising with people, and we know that's great. We want to continue that. But I know I've done my own personal fundraising before, and you can only go back to the same people so many times. It's kind of very hard to keep that, year over year, asking friends and family. So that's why we're trying to expand, not rely on our community members so much, but let's go outside of our community and see who can, help pitch in. And then lastly, continue creating lots of, community content and programs. More videos, more materials online, more resources that you can use and share with your physicians, et cetera. So, Gus, I know you have to, I think you have a 9:15 meeting.
Yes, 6 minutes.
6 minutes. The big questions were, what can we do for funding? And I think it would be good, Gus, could you just explain a little bit, if I give you a microphone?
I got it for you.
Oh, Rachel's got it.
Yes.
The grant cycle. What is that? What do we do with the grant, and how do we fund them? How do we evaluate them? What follow-up you are doing along the way with each of the grants?
Yes, hello. We try to do, we are doing a grant call every other year, and that means that we put a call for applications. So we have a big list of the researchers that we know that work in the area, and we are constantly looking for even another muscular dystrophies to get information from them, and many times when we find potential therapeutics that they are working on and it can be applicable to CMDs, we try to bring them also to the field. And so we put out the call, and the researchers apply. In the years I've been with Cure CMD, in the past 6 years, we have been receiving more and more applications in all the subtypes. And so we receive all of those, and we have part of the board that are scientists, and we have also external reviewers, people that has been a long time in the field, and we send the proposals to them to evaluate. We receive all the critiques from the reviewers, and we decide which of the projects is the best one. Many times, of course, it happens that it's not only one that is good, it's more than one, but we don't have probably the funding to do more than one funding that cycle. So we start also looking for partners to help probably co-fund that project. So it happened many times. We co-fund projects with MD UK, that is like the MDA in UK. We did the same with the MDA France. And also in the past years, many families have created small foundations, family foundations, especially in Europe, and the last one was in Panama. And it's people, usually young parents, recently diagnosed, that start a foundation, and we were lucky that they always find us and start to ask questions, and I've been advisor for them for their grant calls also many times, and and then we have this $1 million bike ride with Pennsylvania University, and we help them with the reviews also. So we are monitoring the science all the time through all the publications, all the news from companies, and we channel that in our funding program.
A little bit about funding and how we operate, right? So not only do we give grants, we get a lot of our funding from grants. As I talked about before, Terry Saluki is one of our grant writers, along with Rachel and Gus and everybody else that has to put time into it. And we go out and we look for donors that want to help fund Cure CMD. Usually that money is very, it's a target of where they want us to spend that money. It's for a certain reason. It's funding to support our registry, for example. So we'll get a grant, and that will help us, fund staff or, fees, et cetera, that we have to work with our registry. With the Chan Zuckerberg initiative, it was a very large grant that we brought in, and that helped fund kind of expansion capabilities. This conference, yep. So the money that comes in with those grants can't necessarily be turned around and turned into scientific grants that we then direct in research. So that's why we kind of have to balance everything out with where that works good for planning conferences. If you have a good writing, editing background, that helps for creating content. Digital design background, right? That stuff helps with all of our online presence that we have. So kind of endless opportunities here. And the different ways that we can turn that into support for us, one is the registry. There's a lot of data analytics that has to go behind the scenes with that, accuracy of the information being entered into it, cleaning the data coming into it. That's Rachel's favorite thing. For the young adults in the room, there's the young adult group that, Avery and Kelly have been working with, and my daughter Kiara, et cetera. There's all kinds of opportunities for the kids to get involved in creating their own content for what they want to see and what they want to do. Office and business support type activities. It's a small business, and we still have all the nuances that go there. Board committees. On the board we have committees, but we can bring in community members as needed for some of those events. And we're always looking to deepen the depth, deepen the board, and have kind of a pipeline of when somebody rolls off, who can we bring in? Finance, accounting, those types of skills are really needed. If anybody has that kind of a background and would like to step in, that would be helpful. What else? Talked about conference planning, content programming, advocacy, and then we have a publication library. Charlene does a lot of that. She's scouring all kinds of different publications that are out there, research papers, and picking them out for each of our different subtypes and curating them into an online library that we have as a resource that the scientific community can leverage. Come to our website, you're looking for something for college in 6, here's your list of what we've been able to find. Rachel, am I missing anything? Does anything stand out to you?
I mean, a million things, but,
Now, a little secret is Rachel's not very good at delegating stuff. She likes to keep it doing everything on her own. So
I'm my own worst enemy.
So that's why, there's lots of opportunities, for different people to kind of step in and help alleviate some of that work, even though we have to wrangle it from her. To get things done.
Oh, managing development. Managing the donations that come in and making sure proper acknowledgements, dedications, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Your wife has been helping with that fabulously.
She's shaking her head going, no. So that's what we just want to talk a little bit about, Cure CMD, who we are, where we've been, where we're going, what we need and what we want to do. Obviously the big thing, if I was to go back, right, that I think probably hits to a lot of people is this whole funding process, right? We to get to a point where we're doing $500,000 in grants every year is going to take a lot of funds on a consistent basis. And the ways we do that, again, as I mentioned before, it's through individual fundraising. And I understand that well, you can only go to so many times. But we took a jump in the growth of the organization this year. The trajectory where we've been, we talked about that $3 million that we've funded over the last 9 years. How do we get not 9 years, 13 years, whatever. My math is off. How do we get to $3 million even sooner? What can we do 5, 6 years from now? So, a lot of opportunities there. So with that, kind of open it up to questions or comments or anything you'd like to ask of our board members, or is there anybody that would like to chime in and add to any of our conversations?
I'm just going to ask who everyone can reach out to if they'd like to get involved.
Okay. Who can they reach out to if they want to get involved? Rachel, I'll let you handle that one.
info@curecmd.org.
So,
I'm going to give that to you. It's heavy.
yeah, so obviously you can reach out to any of the board members, Rachel, myself, et cetera. But we do have a general email. It's info@curecmd.org. Thanks, Mindy.
Comes to Donica and I, but we will delegate.
Yep. And like I said, if you just want to put your name in the hat, it's not like you have to do anything immediately as things come up and we know what kind of skill sets are available. You guys have anything to add, or Mark?
Come on, Jeff. You always have something to tell us.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience? We'd love to hear from you. And we would love to get your feedback in terms of what you would like to, directions you'd like to see us go as well. Thanks, Mark.
I just have thought about this quite a bit, but I don't really know how to start. But like sports teams, how do we get players to pick Cure CMD? I mean, it's kind of a double win if we can get more players on board, because they advertise that, so-and-so supports Cure CMD type thing, and then also they bring money in. So does anybody know how to get more involved? And I'm just thinking, if there's a bunch of kids in a certain region, let's start with that particular team. But I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
An idea.
So beyond sports, right? Any kind of celebrity endorsements and.
I know, Josh Allen, was it his grandmother that died? Josh Allen from the Bills. We are actually from Buffalo, and so is Anthony, and there's a third child. They're all the same age. But Josh Allen, there was a death in the family, and Buffalo raised all this money, and it's all going to the Children's Hospital in Buffalo. And it's I just sit there and think, how much more money does Buffalo Children's Hospital need? But it's just one example. That's why it's come to mind for me.
Yep. Yeah, that's a lot of that is usually done through personal connections and the contacts, and maybe you get lucky with a social media campaign. So that's the type of opportunities, right? If within our community, as people have those connections and comments or contacts, and you can bring that into the fold and maybe start some conversations with, the board. Andy, I know with your corporate individual giving, if we can ever kind of tap into those resources, there's opportunities for people to participate even beyond money, just to spread that word and bring in, a larger portion of donations.
Let's talk after this, just so that we can.
Microphone.
Yeah. Where's the microphone, Mark? Oh, okay. So connect with Andy after this one. I'm sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
Morning. Anthony Parisi, I have a 4-year-old son, James, with Lima 2. Comment first, and then a question probably for Reagan or any of the other clinical, medical, research folks in the room. So first, my comment to Tom and Ray. I had the honor of meeting Tom last night, and one thing that was clear to me was that it seemed like Bradley really was a pretty stand-up guy, and I think that's a testament, Tom and Ray, to how you raised him and the type of values and that you instilled in him, and he's a product ultimately of you guys, and deeply sorry for your loss and all that, but just wanted to say that, Tom. It was an honor to meet you last night, and look forward to just continuing to get to know you. quick question for Reagan probably, or again, there's some of the other folks in the room, but, the goal from a grant perspective is to get to 500,000. I'm just curious, obviously that's dispersed accordingly to whoever gets awarded the grants, but what does that actually get from a research and medical perspective? How much time and resources and effort does that buy us from the research, clinical, medical side of things? I'm just curious.
So let me clarify first. When we say we're funding currently 400,000, up to 400,000 this year, we're giving away $50,000 two-year grants, which is a drop in the bucket. I'm going to tell you right now, that's a tiny thing, but part of that kind of tiny money means that we're really funding students and PhDs, candidates in the lab. So we're developing that next generation of researchers so that while we don't have a lot of money to fund each subtype, the upside to that is that those young scientists are getting a lot of experience. So, Reagan.
Okay, it's on.
Yep.
First wanted to echo what you said, what a wonderful human being Brad was, so we're going to kind of make sure we perpetuate his legacy through all of our work, clinical and research. And I think the strategizing you've done, Rachel, with the whole board's been great in terms of supporting the junior folks in all of these major labs, and so bringing them to this conference in person is extraordinary. You're right, Rachel, the small grants of 50,000 are just going to be part of, like a sub-part of a major project in a lab. So we've been getting every year, at least the grants that I've seen for the collagen 6 related dystrophies, more and more grants, and every year, better, really wonderful quality research, so it's hard to pick just one, as you said. So I think ideally larger size grants would help a lot of these labs to get things further, even fund a full project going forward.
I think, Rachel, you did share that, when you look at like 50,000, it might, over 2 years, that's probably like a quarter of a person's time, per year to be able to work on a research project. But a lot of that stuff we call them seed grants. You can kind of get out there and people will, discover one thing or prove one process works or maybe disprove that another process won't work. And all that kind of leads to, what's next along the line. Rachel, I know that you had the story with the...
I'm going to call out Dewey Kimball,
Yeah.
because she's amazing. We've actually, that was a $100,000 grant. We were fortunate to be able to fund her Llama 2 project. She was a junior researcher in Ronnie Cohen's lab, and that led to another very large grant with the MDA. And now she's also subsequently been funded within the last several months by the NIH. So our money matters to the degree that it gets us to that next step, and then our researchers can go for those big dollars.
Yep. You can prove something out, maybe a 50,000, 100,000 helps, and that leads to a proven process that more money comes in, and in the millions of dollars to help fund some of those larger labs. It's the rare issue with the rare disease community. You got to kind of like just keep chugging away at the little things to get the bigger opportunities. It should be on.
Yeah, hey, I'm Jason Johnson. Amy and I are parents for Emmeline, who's 9-year-old with collagen 6, who's here. I guess my question is, we heard a lot about the bottlenecks of these large pharmaceutical or biotech companies not wanting to invest in research and development for rare diseases, right? It's not maybe viable financially for them until there's a breakthrough. It just occurs to me that and I know I'm aware of it at the company I work for, but corporate America has to take a stance on things in 2022 in a way that they did not in the past. Disney, look at the examples there, or Amazon and Google have to take a stance on Roe versus Wade immediately, or there is backlash. What can we do as a community to raise corporate pressure of these large, huge multinational companies to actually care and invest, even when maybe their profits are not foreseeable in the near term? So what can we do to create awareness that would force them to do the right thing on top of all their profit causes? So I just think there's a way to think about that in today's day and age with social media influence of putting some pressure on corporations to do good.
Andy, do you want to talk to that?
Thank you very much. Actually, your point is well taken. One of the things that we're going to be working on in the development committee is identifying organizations that we can reach out to. The message won't necessarily be to pressure them, but to get them to come to an understanding about the value of them joining with smaller organizations who don't necessarily get the large research dollars, because we don't have millions of people that are affected by CMDs. So what we want to do is we want to kind of search out those corporations that say, look, this is something that matters to us. This is important to us, not because it's affecting millions, but because it's having a direct impact on, people who might not have other places to turn. So your point is very, very well taken.
Yeah.
So part of this piece is making sure our government understands what needs to happen in terms of regulation. The Orphan Drug Act that was enacted in the 80s really helped to develop more, but that is constantly having to be renewed, or it's underfunded, or all of those things. And so that's where legislative advocacy is really important, because there are mechanisms that are encouraging more development, but it's slow and sometimes under the possibility of not being renewed. I won't go into all the details because it's very minute, but I'll just say that our advocacy team partners with other rare disease organizations to monitor those types of issues. And so that would be a great way, for those of you who live in the United States. I know it's different in other countries. I can't really speak to that because I don't know those legislatures as much as I know of the U.S., but helping that regulation. They're a as much as we have lots of thoughts about our government, they are a partner, and we have to work with them to get them to understand the needs of not only our community, but other rare disease communities.
Yep. Thanks, Laney.
Can I say a
Jim?
couple words here?
No.
No, I can't. Rob's, sorry, I'm going to speak anyway. No, I just wanted to build a little bit on what Andy was saying, in the sense that, so I work in philanthropy myself, and still realize that 78% of the monies given to nonprofit organizations every year come through and are directed by individuals. And so while we talk about corporations, one of the most exciting reasons that we have Andy on board now is that every community has a community foundation. In Milwaukee, we have the Greater Milwaukee Foundation. Just next door to us, 60 miles away, we have the Madison Community Foundation. Where I work, we have the Kenosha Community Foundation. So all these community foundations have funds that are directed by families and individuals. Sometimes they're donor-advised funds, sometimes they're family funds. And those are individuals who are directing those dollars to the charities that they really believe in. And so if you, for instance, in Milwaukee, Marquette University publishes every year a list of all the family foundations, and they list what they support. So if there are any that are tagged healthcare, we know, okay, that's somebody that we can talk to. And we have an organization of people throughout the United States and beyond. But in your local community foundation, this is an opportunity to connect with Andy to figure out where are those resources. And we have individuals in these communities. We have individuals with resources to support this research. That's why I'm really excited that we've taken the step to bring on Andy for this type of giving. So I just wanted to share in terms of connecting with Andy. He's going to be a great resource for us.
Yep. I joke that, just about every family has that rich aunt or uncle, and that's who we want to get in touch with, But even beyond that, there's the friends and the large organizations. We know some in Charlotte that, we desperately want to tap into to help deepen the pockets.
Okay, thank you again for letting me stand back up, but to kind of piggyback on what Tim and Rob were saying, the individual donors, most people are, let's face it, unless your last name is Zuckerberg or Rockefeller or Gates, we all have limits within which we have to live. But there are ways that people can make gifts that have a much bigger impact than just writing a check out of your checkbook. And one of my areas of specialty is working with people, finding different ways that they can as individuals make gifts that won't really affect them right now, but will have a bigger impact on the organization at some point in the future. And that's another thing that we're going to be discussing when we reinvigorate the development committee.
I don't know which of you, or who of you were here on Friday afternoon, but there was actually a video that Rachel kind of instigated and Levi helped execute, that I think we often get caught up in the economics of funding drugs and how small populations may be and how that may not be enough of a dollar value to go after from a pharmaceutical perspective. But one of the reasons that the video was created was to put faces to a cause. And so rather than just looking at something economically, if you can actually see the patients, rather than just seeing a list of symptoms and seeing how these things affect the patients and the families, I think that gives us a leg up in having a higher likelihood of getting funding or a drug or a pharmaceutical company actually interested in speaking to us.
Yep. Just tying on to that, right? So that video was part of the meeting that we had with the FDA for patient-focused drug development.
Good job.
I'm getting it. And that's just an important piece to get our community's voice heard with the government, with the FDA, to help, understand our community, but understand that it's a small population, a small portion of the population. What can they do to help, expedite some things? Maybe there's, lower the bar a little bit for what they decide, to, approve and kind of fund and get forward.
Create more appropriate outcome measures is my goal.
Yeah, to help to help our community along that way, right? Because it's not the drug that's going to be administered to tens of millions of people. It's the drugs that are going to come to a small population. Do you take a little bit more? I'm saying it wrong, but can you take a little bit more risk? Can you take a little bit speed some processes up along the way? It's a continual step.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex. I'm from Canada. I'm a solely non-affected individual. My question is, are there dedicated board seats for affected individuals?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, are there board seats that are dedicated for affected individuals?
So we haven't traditionally done that, but we are making a concerted effort to move in that direction.
Yep. It's so that
There is currently a board member representing Selenon, by the way, but yes.
Yeah. That's one of the things we track. So I have a list of all our board members, and one of the things we're looking at is do we have the right mix on there? We should bring in some more affected individuals. Aside from just Rachel, we make sure we have a good mix of coverage, even from parents and family members, to kind of balance out what subtypes they're representing, and bringing in the potentially new members to make sure that we have the right mix. So it's definitely on our radar as we continue to grow. And the same thing even with the staff. I know Rachel's dream is to have, if we bring on people and hire more, to have a lot of the affected individuals, actually working for Cure CMD as well. Great job opportunities.
We've been very opportunistic, and we are finally moving in the direction of being more intentional with decision-making such as that. So I have an online question class comment from Mike Newton. Asked if we have any idea of what the individual average giving is, and I'll get to that in a second. By the way, tell Reagan and Carson, Mike says hello and thanks for what you do. Yes, The average individual giving is probably somewhere around $50 to $75. But what we see really is the power of people doing fundraisers. Like, we get that you all have us concerned about what you, as the affected family, can give, but what you can pull in from your circle, your community and friends. So that's where we actually start to see some really great numbers.
Yep. Yeah, the individual giving is tough, right, especially for community members, just in terms of, we have a lot of other expenses, medical equipment, doctor's appointments, travel, vehicles, wheelchairs, the whole bit. So,
We're living that life, we know.
Yep, trying to get outside of that box.
My question actually kind of comes back to the $1 million bike ride. My daughter's 3 and newly diagnosed with Col-6, and so this is a very new community to me. But my oldest daughter has had a cleft lip and palate, so that fundraising community and March of Dimes and prematurity, that's more my world. So we've done obviously a lot of family fundraising, for March of Dimes, and there's a lot of support and walks and wide smiles and, everything that goes along with that. Is with the $1 million bike ride, do you guys have a way to have community members start more of a bike ride in their town? Do you guys have resources for that? That'd be something that I would definitely be interested in helping to participate in, to get my community involved in that. And if you guys had a book or resources or something to help start that.
Yeah, go check in with them.
Yeah.
Ask Jesse, that's where he is.
So, on the community bike ride piece, I wasn't aware of the $1 million ride until I got here, but I'm actually planning one myself. I don't really know what I'm doing. I just know I like to ride my bike. I reached out to Rachel not too long ago, and she gave me just some resources from her team to build the simple landing page that allows me to put pictures of my son and tell his story and allow for a donation button that goes directly to Cure CMD. So I'm sure there's more. And then I leaned on the company I work for, I leaned on some marketing resources that we had to build flyers and social media content. And I'm just basically blasting it out there and just making sure that people are aware and working to reach out to local towns and municipalities that I'm riding my bike through to let them know I'm coming through, just to see if they'd be interested in just listening to what I have to say and maybe meeting some town members. So I'm sure I can do more. I'm sure there's maybe a more formal way to go about doing that, but I know Rachel and team are more than happy to support that. I'm leaning on them right now, and that's just one little thing that I think that we all can do from a grassroots community effort. So just thought I'd share that, given your question.
Did that answer your question?
Susan, do you want to say something?
So the $1 million bike ride is an established ride that's based in Philadelphia, and we've been doing it for 9 years. Originally, we did it more broadly with Cure CMD, but the families that were involved became College and Six families, so now our fundraising is for College and Six. With that, we're glad to talk to you personally about it, or any of the College and Six families that want to talk to us about fundraising and how to get involved. We have other families who have done it in different countries and done different events and funneled the money to us. This year, we think we've raised over $120,000, which is
awesome.
$500,000 since we started, so it's amazing and unbelievable, and very welcome to have other families involved, because the more we get involved, the more money we can raise, and glad to have your help. So please talk to us personally, or anyone who wants to get involved with that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't have to be all 6. We could start a second team with another subtype, is that correct? There's a team wait list. Okay. Yeah, we can get on the wait list.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can we get a microphone?
The thing about the $1 million bike ride, separate from raising money for Cure CMD, is the match. Because Penn matches up to $30,000 of what we raise, so we can't leave that money on the table. We have to be part of that. And now that there's probably 15 diseases on the wait list, so we don't want to give up our team. So we have to, keep up our aggressive fundraising to keep our team active. Part 2 of that is staying on the radar of the Penn Orphan Disease Center. That our profile of congenital muscular dystrophy, College and Six, all of that are on their radar. So when they have little things, Susan and I try to go, and Billy, we comment on their social media, like, we really just, we want to be active so that when they're looking at their funding, they're like, oh, those CMD women are everywhere, aren't they? You know, so that's part two of the fundraising, but also raising the profile.
Yeah. And that's been a good partnership as well. So, you know, they get the matched funding from Penn. Penn then determines where those grants are going to go. But we've managed to partner with our organization and Dr. Foley.
Yeah, so Penn only takes money for a short period of time. When we're outside of that window, I will take the money, and we will put it in an account and hold it until Diane and Susan are ready, and then we transfer it. So we're not limited to just the 3 months that Penn will take the money.
Yep. So good question, Amy. Mark, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I wouldn't mind taking the opportunity to get feedback from this group too about what Cure CMD is doing, what more could we do. And so, as Rob mentioned, there's a lot that Cure CMD tries to organize. There's always more. There's sometimes less that we maybe are spending our effort on that we don't need to be. And I'd be very interested to hear just what feedback everyone has in this room about what you see of Cure CMD, what you've appreciated that the organization has done, or what other things we could be doing that would help you in your life or any affected individuals.
And while people are thinking of questions, you know, kind of one of the topics we wanted to cover, obviously you see the funding for the grants and the research, et cetera, and that's a big important thing. We know the research takes time. You know, a lot of questions came up, how fast can this happen? And it's not months, you know, it's years. It's a long time. So another big thing that we really try to push are all these different community programs. You know, what else could we be doing to support the organization during that, you know, the research and development time?
Support the community.
Support the community, right? In terms of, you know, the pulmonary guides, what other guides would people like to have? What other, you know, webinars and series and information can we produce that would be a good tool for you? Any feedback? Amy?
I'll go first because I'm probably the newest person in this room, and finding information in January when we got a diagnosis was extraordinarily hard. And it's something that shocked me. I didn't think it would be hard to find information. I got online and I'm Googling, and anything I've ever asked Google has always been like, here you go, here's too much information. And with Col6, it's very little. And there's some information on Ulrich, there's information on Bethlehem, it's a whole bunch of just very generic symptoms. But it was really hard to find you guys. And that's something that I feel could be improved from a new family perspective. Even the Facebook support group being collagen Roman numerals doesn't show up on any searches. So if you search collagen 6 or you search Ulrich or you search Bethlehem, crickets on Facebook. So I actually kind of created my own Facebook. I'm like, I guess I'm the only one. I have a page now. And so maybe some hashtags and like just like very simple social media additions for new families, like people that are brand new to the cause. Cure CMD doesn't come up on a Google search if you just don't have a search history that will funnel you towards it. If you just search collagen 6 diagnoses or anything, it's not going to come up. So maybe some small tweaks in your website and your search parameters of the websites would get newer families information faster. I don't know if Cecilia's here, but she had hashtagged one video, and it just said Ulrich hashtag, and I had accidentally put an Ulrich hashtag on mine and clicked it completely on accident, and that's how I found you guys. Because 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh my God, I have a daughter too, and you have a daughter, and they look alike, and hi, I'm Psycho, please don't block me. And she's like, oh, I'm so glad you found me, that's why I have this hashtag, and here's the community. By the way, the conference registration opens up in 3 days, go. And I'm like, buying tickets to Nashville, so here I am. But that would be...
So one of Avery's summer jobs is going to be our SEO project. This is something that's been on our to-do list for too long. But Avery and Kelly are going to work on that hopefully this summer, right, Avery? Yes, she says thumbs up. And then the other thing is I went on a buying spree. It's really cheap, I promise. And bought a whole bunch of domains that are like call6.com, but Bethlehem or whatever. Like I bought like 16 URLs that are going to point to Cure CMD. So we're on it. We know that that's a big problem. I think we're like, depending on how you search, we can come up on the first page, but it's pretty rare. But yeah, we know and we're on it.
And I appreciate everything you guys do, and this conference is amazing. And
hopefully you found the 6 page, because I just updated it like 2 months ago. So hopefully you found it and you will read it.
And yeah, that's another great example, right? If anybody in our community has those types of skill sets, they're SEO marketers or anything that could offer advice and volunteer some time. Those are the types of things that really help us, and that feedback's great. So I remember I think it was Dr. Foley that told us about it. We got connected through a physician and with Dr. Foley.
She's a great advocate.
Do you know Cure CMD? No.
Yeah.
Now here I am.
But I appreciate that because
Yes.
now that I know that we are prioritizing that, and you're like, yes, do that. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony in the back.
I have a hard time not taking advantage of opportunities like this to speak up. My dad calls it a curse. We just have a hard time sometimes. I know COVID certainly contributed to this. I'm really looking forward to more content, more opportunities to share stories. I find that, obviously I know my son and I see this with him every day, but I'm sure there are dozens of others in the community that would say the same, that these kids just have a way of capturing the hearts and minds and attention of people that get to know them. And, it's pretty amazing. So I really look forward to more opportunities to tell my son's story. I'm sure there are others in the room or other in the community that would do the same. So any opportunity we have to call for stories and share, like the video that was played on Friday, big or small, I don't think it matters. A flyer, a video, if and when we ever get to a point where we're doing in-person events, if that's ever an option, whatever it may be, just really looking forward to being able to contribute to that storytelling. And I think Andy made the point earlier, that's really how I think you can start to influence the people that maybe control the pocketbooks, or just find more individual donors. So any opportunity I think we have to contribute and support telling the stories of our little ones and our family members to help influence the cause, I think is something interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have like a TikTok or an Instagram?
We have both.
Could we share stories on there?
Yes, we just started TikTok,
Perfect.
a month or two ago, right, Avery? Yeah, so this is the perfect,
So it's like
perfect
a
opportunity
video
to do
sharing
that.
platform. You can make videos that are 10 seconds to 3 minutes long. And that is where people go viral these days, and you can get hundreds of thousands to millions of views. And the stories on there are really powerful. And you can do it on Instagram too. So if people are comfortable sharing their stories on there, it's a great way to get things out there. And I'll throw myself out to help volunteer, post content and edit stuff. It's something great to be involved. Perfect way to share a story through COVID.
Oh, thank you. A lot of marketing minds, right? And that's kind of what we're trying to do, is how do you get out there? How do you reach more people and open those doors?
Hey, I was just going to say I'm pretty new to the community as well. My son's 2.5, and we have alpha district lichenopathy. So pretty small group of us here and across the United States and internationally.
There's a lot of you actually, but you're very underdiagnosed.
Probably, yeah. But I was just going to say it would be nice, I love that we have our subtypes in our groups and people we can connect with that are similar. Is there something like that that's just geographic, that's not based on subtype? It would be nice to be, I live in Michigan. It would be nice to say, oh, this family also is in Michigan. Let's connect. No matter what your subtype is, we're here to support each other. So
we have a program called Peer to Peer. There's an application that you fill out, ask a few questions, and then we will do our best to connect you with somebody else. And you can specify in the form, I want somebody local, I want somebody with my subtype, or whatever. We probably can't hit all your wishes, but we can probably hit a couple, right, Mindy? Yeah. working on that. We also have the virtual happy hours that are happening every other Friday or Saturday, depending, I think yours are on Saturdays. That one's, like, we need to do a better job of marketing that, because those are kind of dying a little bit. But, and also, COVID is opening up, so people are like, let's go outside for the first time in 2 years. But yeah, we really we're trying to find a number of mediums, because some people communicate better in writing, some people communicate better on video, some people communicate better one-on-one. So we're really trying to open up those opportunities so that we're hitting every niche.
I would just say too, there's many times that Cure CMD might try to instigate something like a happy hour, and we'll get a couple of people attending, and we think we might get more, but there's only a few people that show up. And I would just say, or encourage, like, start something. Like, if you have a feeling there is somebody, if there's a bunch of people around you that have a similar lifestyle, or regardless of subtype, might be interested in connecting, say, hey, contact Cure CMD and say, I'd like to organize something, I'd like to have a dinner or go to a park, and can you get word out about this? Because I think, like, Cure CMD can't instigate everything. It's not a very big team. It looks big, but there's a lot of other things that the organisation is doing. And so when community members say, I really want to do this, and they take the lead on it, that's when things generally work the best, because you've got somebody who is really passionate driving it, versus Rachel adding another task to her list of things that she's doing.
And much better at supporting that kind of thing than instigating.
Yeah, that's great feedback as well, and kind of highlights, some of the programs we put out there go under the radar. People don't know they're there, so a lot of opportunities for us. Thank you. Anybody else?
Online people? Mike's going to be the only one who talks. Come on, you guys.
Yeah.
Don't make me call you out.
Just in response to that, my one little thought was on the Cure CMD support group on Facebook. You could just go and introduce yourself and see who's from Michigan, and try to connect that way, and that can happen organically through you reaching out to the broader group there.
Yeah, so we have, while we do have subtype groups, I think we have like 12 or 13 of them. We also have an all Cure CMD support group for all subtypes, and so that's a really great place to kind of cross-post some questions or introduce yourself, or, like she said, I'm from Michigan, who else is here?
And people will start tagging other names and saying, oh, hey, you need to connect with whomever. And that's important, right? Even outside of your subtype, because state by state, there's different, medical insurance deals you have to go through, or however your state administers, their programs, et cetera, that might help you. That I can't help you from North Carolina because it might be completely different rules in Michigan. That's why it's really good, at conferences like this, to connect with people in exactly what you're talking about, in your area, in your state. Because even though our subtypes are different, there's an awful lot of common things we all have to, navigate. Who's your pulmonologist? Where's a good doctor I can go? Who's the best, spine surgeon? And getting that network within your region is very important.
I have a question for you guys. So Facebook is very kind of niche, right? Not everybody uses Facebook. But that is where our support groups live. So does anybody here want to be part of a support group but doesn't want to be on Facebook? We have the opportunity to create support groups in another medium that's probably a little bit more secure, a little more, something that we can control, but I've hesitated to do that because I think Facebook is easy. But I do know that we are really cutting out a lot of people who just aren't on Facebook. So if any of you have any thoughts about that, I would love to hear it.
And anybody under 30, they want to be on Snapchat.
Yeah, I'm not doing Snapchat, I'm drawing the line at TikTok.
Oh yeah, LinkedIn. There you go. That's for us 50 and older.
I don't use Facebook very much, but I think it works extremely well. I think it's like, for us, it's been the conversation that happens on Facebook has been so powerful.
Yeah.
And regardless of like someone shopping for a van for their first time, or trying to understand different models of wheelchairs, like the questions that get asked there and the answers that come in, I think it's a necessary evil.
Yep. Mark, before you pass that microphone, just kind of a quick thought in terms of the Facebook groups as well. So we have a handful of moderators in each of the different subtypes, right? And one of the opportunities that we've discussed in the past, I think we've started and kind of stopped a little bit, is almost having some ambassadors in those groups, not just moderating and, approving who's going to join, but when somebody new comes in, what do they need to know? Sign up for the registry. Here's the app. Let me make sure we get you connected with all of our other, the things within Cure CMD, right? It's just to help. What's next? I know we updated our website to have a newly diagnosed button up top to be able to click and kind of start figuring out where you go from there. But this is a great opportunity for community involvement if you're on Facebook to go in and help welcome the new people, connect the dots, and just kind of be an active member in there as well. Sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
No apologies needed. I'm like James. I can't pass up an opportunity to speak into an amplified device. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the community for the scientific research that goes unnoticed. I mean, I guess we get to talk about it, geek out about it here, but for the rest of the time, we don't ever know what's happening until we get here. We're like, holy crap, you did what to a fly? So that's awesome. So keep doing that, because that's meaningful, it's impactful, and over the long run, it's going to be likely what matters. I also wanted to encourage, I guess through conversation, maybe it is a thing, maybe it's not, but all of us have like crazy homes, those of us that have affected individuals or those of us that are affected. I lovingly call it like weirdo stuff. Like it's all just a bunch of crazy things. And so if you want to connect with people that need a break, it's amazing the number of people you hear from that say, I have not been out of my house, or I have not been away from my son or my daughter, I have not been on a vacation for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So if we can support each other, maybe that's what you were talking about, Rachel, with that group thing you said, peer-to-peer.
Yes.
So if we could leverage that a little bit, it seems that there's an appetite for that. Maybe not, and maybe it's small. And I guess that's what leads into my last point, is I have a good friend that tried to become a YouTube star. Then you realize that's impossible. So he was content with making it big, small time. And that's kind of stuck with me, because we live in a community where we're never going to be the MDA or this big fancy group that Josh Allen is like, hey, I love Cure CMD, maybe, unless somebody knows Josh Allen. But that's okay to be content with making it big, small time, because you said you found somebody with #Ulrich, and that matters, and my wife, we've got a Facebook page, and she's all about going 50 pages deep on all the geeky stuff. I'm like, come on, just tell them we're having a good time. She's like, no, this is YouTube is, and then someone will invariably comment and say, oh, that's helpful. So share things. And you may only get 1 or 2 likes, or you may only get one person that sees it, but that one person could matter. So it's cool to make it big, small time, but for the new families and for the OGs, keep sharing, because that's what really matters.
Yep.
And stay engaged. I know when I'll follow Facebook and Instagram and all the different places we post, and we'll post something out there and you only see 2 or 3 likes, or engagement. So take those opportunities to get involved. Share your stories and share your information, things you've learned along the way.
Can I add a caveat to that? Please don't try and contact me on social media, because I am really terrible about it. Email me. I will respond much faster than Facebook message me. I'm very bad about it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of follow up back with what you were saying about the using things outside of Facebook. I'm an IT manager. I have a love-hate relationship with technology. There are obviously good aspects of Facebook, but there are, bad aspects, privacy concerns, and just other things outside of support groups, which are super helpful. But I don't know if there's been any discussions with using something like Discord or as an additional support thing. But I've just kind of run into that recently. What's kind of neat about that is it's just basically a messaging type of app, but it allows for you to create like these bots that basically say, hey, how can I help you? And you're looking for this, let me direct you to that. And it's almost like a Google Assistant kind of thing, where so it's somewhat more of a secure application, and it's kind of a niche where people that don't really want to use Facebook but want to get information, reach out with people. So just a thought. And outside of that, I also work for the government, for better or for worse. I wanted to just kind of make a comment, like, I'm not sure, like, as far as a support group, are we on the combined federal campaign, which is a fundraising type of organization? Are we in there where, because general funding can go through there, and, like, you can do fundraisers and things like that, and direct funding towards that. So I just wanted to see if we were on there, or works to get in there. And then also, like, I know we do have like a government advocacy type group, just trying to get maybe more awareness as far as, especially like the orphan drug thing that came up recently, fighting for, like, hey, talking to your congressman, or, kind of just getting more awareness of, like, hey, there's this thing that may get denied or approved, and we really need people to advocate for, because especially, with congressmen and stuff, like, they're not going to know about this stuff, and they're not going to know whether to vote or not vote for stuff, and unless people in our group speak up and say, hey, this is kind of important. You might not know that this is in this bill, but this is kind of a big deal. And, like, government funding, and when to ask, talk about that. So just kind of wanted to approach some of those questions.
So Lainey needs to get you on the advocacy newsletter first. About Discord, I'm a lifelong gamer, which is where the Discord community grew up. So I use Discord with my gaming friends. So yes, that's a fantastic idea. We're also thinking about Slack as another opportunity, which is a similar app. So yeah, let's think about, maybe like Jamie online is saying, her son uses Discord as a gamer, and so maybe we can get kind of some of the young adults to be more active because none of them are on Facebook. So maybe we get them in Discord. So that's a great idea.
With respect to the CFC, Combined Federal, that's, there's a fair amount of paperwork that you have to do.
Yes.
But once you do it, my impression is that then it's done, you are then eligible, and that could open up a fair number of opportunities. I know our representative is Brian Higgins in New York State, and he's very open to conversations with any organization. Whether or not he'll be able to do something is, it's always an open question, and I have no idea how those decisions are made. But I know of a lot of organizations who have reached out to him, and he has given time to them, either with himself or with his staffers. So that might be something worth our advocacy group knowing.
Yep.
So
we're mid-process with the federal application. There's a couple of items that I'm trying to pull. So yes, I'm aware of it, but thank you.
All right, we at 10 o'clock, I want to make sure we can keep on schedule with breaks. If anybody has any comments, questions, please feel free to approach any of us, email any of us, find us on Facebook.
Or not.
Or not. But just to wrap, right, I think, as we all focus on the research and everything else that we want to get done and finding the cures, treatments, et cetera, along the way, the biggest thing, the most important thing to me that I've noticed as being a part of this community is, the first time we came to the conference back in 2019 was just finding your community, finding your people that are going through all this. So, as much as the grants are very important, all this stuff, the social aspects, connecting with other families that are dealing with the same situation, you can talk and have the exact conversation, know what everybody's thinking, I think is one of our strongest points, and we want to kind of, continue to grow this organization. So, with that, get registered if you're not on the registry, download the app, I got to do my pitches, sign up for the advocacy group, and engage with us, the board, the staff members, everybody. So thank you all very, very much for attending the conference and for being here and for attending this session with us.
Thank you.
Thanks.